Hi there, my name is Dominic Lane. I'm the Senior Deputy Head and I lead on the academic side of the school. I'd like to thank you for joining us on this Year 8 Subjects Information presentation. Hopefully you will find it useful and informative in terms of taking you through the process for choosing your subjects going forwards. There's lots of important information that we're going to give you over these presentations. That's to try and make you as informed to make the best decisions for you as you can, so you know as much as you can about each subject and about the process as a whole, and then the bigger picture. Now, we know this is, for some of you, this is going to be a really, really straightforward process. You know what you want to do in the future, you know the things where your strengths are, and you naturally will choose the subjects that fit in with that. However, from my experience, that is the minority of students that know that, and for the majority, it's about keeping your options open for the future and making choices, which mean that you can go off in lots of different career paths, dependent on the skills and how you develop as you get older. I was looking and thinking that the students in Year 8 will probably, at current rates, be retiring in the year 2076. We have no idea what the world looks like or will look like in that time. You think of the advances that we've had over the last kind of 10, 15 years, the thought of another 55 years is quite scary, and that's if they can retire still at 67. The likelihood is that those ages are going to go up even further. So we don't know what the world will look like. School's job is to prepare you as well as they can for the adaptations and the changes that will naturally come. And so when making these choices, think about the skills and the knowledge that each subject will give you for going forwards. I suppose my one bit of takeaway advice for you is when making your choices, your last choices are often the most difficult, but in my experience, the most important. We naturally rank the subjects in terms of our things that we enjoy and the things that we find easiest, often things we're most successful in. And therefore, when we're working, we default and spend more time on the things that we do well in, which means we neglect the things that we find more difficult. I would say your last choices need equally amount of time, and you need to invest as much, if not more, hard work into them. Therefore, you must enjoy them. You must enjoy going to do them and spending time on them. So really consider those fourth and fifth choices. What is it that you're going to do? Will you want to sit down and do them equally as much as the other subjects that you're taking? Take your time with the process, use all the resources you have available to you, make sure you're as informed as possible, speak to your children's mentors, speak to your children's subject teachers. They know them best. They've been through this process lots and lots of times, so they'll be able to help and support. You're not on your own, ask questions. Hopefully you find it a helpful presentation and a straightforward process. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Michelle Hadley and I am the Assistant Head Teacher who is responsible for curriculum and for the Year 8 into 9 subject choices. In a normal year, this evening you would be coming up to the college for the Year 8 subject choices advice evening. You'd have the opportunity to hear myself and Mr. Lane speaking to you about this process and about our vision for the curriculum, and then you would be able to go off and wander around in the sports hall and have a look at a marketplace of all of the different subject choices that your child can pick up next year and then continue on with into their GCSEs. Sadly, it's not a normal year and we're not able to have you on site. But I still wanted to talk to you a little bit about the presentation that we would have done this evening. I know Mr. Lane has already spoken to you about his thoughts on the important choices that your child is going to make over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully you've been doing some work on those choices already, and you've managed to watch with your child my presentation that I put together and put onto Satchel, or Show My Homework, about the subject choices process and where your son or daughter can find all of the useful information to help them. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the process again, just a bit of a reminder for some of you and perhaps an introduction for others. But I wanted to start by talking briefly about our curriculum vision, because we have a very clear curriculum vision for students at Lutterworth College. You can find this on our website. It's called our curriculum intent. And I've picked out one or two key points linked to the importance of the Year 8 subject choices. So we place a real emphasis on ensuring that students' curriculum is broad and balanced. That whilst they have choice, because it's important that they're able to pick subjects to reflect what they would like to do in the future and subjects that they enjoy, it's also important that they keep their curriculum as broad and balanced as possible. As Mr. Lane has already said, there are very few young people at the age of your son or daughter who have a clear idea of what they want to do in the future. So at the moment, if they don't know what they want to do, it's important that they just pick subjects that help them to keep that broad, balanced curriculum, which will keep doors open to them further down the line. Our subject choices have been selected so that they're ambitious. We want an ambitious curriculum that allows us to meet the needs of all of our learners. And we have a small group of learners who follow a slightly narrower curriculum, which is more suitable to their individual needs, but still ambitious for them. But the majority of our students will follow our standard curriculum pathway. I've already mentioned that we want to give choice to students because it's really important that students have choice and are able to pick subjects that they want to study, but whilst balancing that with keeping this broad, balanced curriculum that I've already mentioned. The subjects that they're going to choose now have to prepare them for future employment. Who knows what those jobs are going to look like by the time your son or daughter is at the point of entering that world of employment, let alone by the time they move towards retirement, as Mr. Lane has already mentioned. The subjects that we offer and the courses linked to them as your child moves into GCSE have been selected very carefully to facilitate good outcomes. So we believe that they are courses where your child can succeed, and where they can get good academic outcomes, because those academic outcomes are what allow them to go on to what they want to do next. And it's all about keeping those doors open, keep giving them lots and lots of choice, so they can go on to do what they want to do and be what they want to be in the future. And finally, our curriculum vision is about developing learners who reflect our Be Christ principles. We are a Church of England school, and the courses that we offer and the curriculum that we offer is there to help our young people develop as courageous, hardworking, reflective learners. I want to talk now a little bit about reasons to choose a subject, and I talked about this at length in my video presentation that I put together for the Year 8 students. What I would say, there's one very clear reason not to choose a subject, and that is because your friends are studying that subject. These are really important choices, and whilst students often want to be in classes with their friends, what's more important is that they pick subjects that they're good at and that they want to study, not just because their friend happens to be picking that subject. So there are 6 reasons that jump out at me about why students should pick their subjects. So generally, the most important one is that they enjoy it, because these subjects, for the majority of them, you're going to be studying them for 3 years, maybe even longer if you go on to study it beyond the end of year 11. And if you enjoy it, you're going to enjoy going to the lessons, you're going to enjoy doing the work. So enjoyment's really, really important, and they need to think about, do I enjoy that subject currently? and if I enjoy it, it should be on my short list as to whether I continue to study it next year. Often, enjoying a subject goes hand in hand with being good at it. What are the subjects that your child is good at? So if they list those subjects, often they're going to be the subjects that they enjoy as well. Now, different subjects have different ways of learning. So some, as an example, if I talk about drama or design and technology, they have quite a heavy practical element to them. They're not solely practical. There's also quite a written chunk to go with them as well. But the learning is partly practical. So if your child likes practical, they might want to think about the sorts of subjects that they put on their list of subjects that they'd like to go on and continue to study. If they like written essays or longer answers, then that's going to be a different set of subjects. So it's important to think about, when they're in lessons, how they learn and the sort of learning that they enjoy doing. Is it practical? Is it written work? Is it a combination of the two? We have 4 new subjects on our list of subjects that students can pick up next year, and those are health and social care, business, media studies, and sociology. It's really important to do research about those subjects, because often students think this is a shiny new subject and I'd really like to study this. They know very little about it, but they like the idea of it. And often they're quick to drop subjects that they have enjoyed for the last 2 years in favour of something shiny and new. So my advice, and I'll talk a little bit more about it further on, is that they need to look carefully at those subjects before they pick those new subjects. It might be that your child knows the career pathway that they want to follow. If they do, then they can have a look at the subjects on our website that go with that career pathway. But most of all, and I've said this already, it's really important to keep a balanced curriculum. Keeping a balanced curriculum, not specialising in one area, allows you to enter a wide range of subjects when you move on beyond GCSE onto A-level or into college. If you've narrowed down and then you change your mind, sometimes it can be harder to pick up other subjects further down the line. Okay, so how do you make your subject choices? Well, it's very, very simple. There are 5 steps. So step 1 is linked to your compulsory subjects, and there are no choices to make there. These are subjects that you have to study. Step 2 is your science pathway. Step 3, your humanities pathway. Step 4 is linked to other subjects, and then step 5, we ask you to pick 2 reserve subjects. Okay, so the subjects are placed in blocks. You can see this in the diagram. So science pathway, humanities pathway, and then you've got your 4 different subject choices, and you're picking 1 from each block. So step 1, as I've mentioned, is about compulsory subjects. All students study these. Ultimately, at the end of year 11, they go on to link to the qualifications that are shown in the table. So 2 GCSEs in English, 1 in English language, 1 in English literature, a GCSE in maths, a GCSE in combined or triple science. If you take combined science, that's 2 GCSEs. And if you take triple science, that's 3 separate GCSEs, 1 in each of the sciences. All students study core PE. There's no qualification linked to that, but they can choose to study additional PE at GCSE or an NCFE qualification, and that will get them a further GCSE or equivalent. All students study religious studies and PSHE. As being part of a Church of England school, students will continue studying religious studies right the way through to the end of year 11. And because we value it, we actually have a qualification attached to it, and students sit what's called a short course in GCSE, which is worth half a full GCSE. Okay, so step 2, students have to choose their science pathway, and there are 2 choices. You can either pick combined science, where you study biology, chemistry and physics in a combined way, and that's worth 2 GCSEs. It's not studied to as much depth as the triple science route. Or you can take pathway 2 if you really enjoy your sciences, and you can study triple science. Triple science is worth 3 separate GCSEs, with a GCSE in biology, 1 in chemistry and 1 in physics. Students who study triple science really enjoy their science. They have a real keen interest in science. They may well want to go on and study it at A level, and they may well want a career that is linked to the sciences. So think carefully, do you really enjoy triple science that much? Do you enjoy science that much that you want to pick it up as a triple GCSE subject? Now, we do have some criteria linked to being able to study triple science. So I've highlighted the words, these criteria out of our Guide to Courses booklet. So students typically who pick up triple science are academic. They're very self-motivated, very committed to their work and very hard-working. There is no extra teaching time for choosing to study triple science. Therefore, you are going to be moving at a faster pace in lessons to cover the extra content that is part of the curriculum. So we recommend that any student who wishes to study triple science has an average Key Stage 2 SAT score of 106 or above based on their English reading and their maths tests. You can find your child's Key Stage 2 SAT scores at the bottom, very bottom of their Go for Schools page. Not all students will have a score of 106 or above, and we do have some students who have chosen to pick up triple science because they're currently doing very well in Year 8. They perhaps weren't doing as well in their SATs, but they've made a bit of a step change, and they've shown an aptitude and a real interest in science in Year 7 and Year 8. So if your child fits that criteria, then you can apply for them to do triple science as well. Okay, step 3, that's linked to our humanities pathway. So all students will study history or geography in Year 9. They can choose to study both by picking up the subject that they haven't chosen in step 3 as one of their 4 subjects in step 4. Okay, so step 4 is the other subjects, and this is the bit that students are really keen on. So the subjects are in 4 columns, 4 blocks, and students need to choose 1 subject from each block. There are some subjects that appear in multiple blocks, but they broadly divide into groups of subjects. So, for example, the first column, subject choice 1, is very much our technology and IT based subjects. Column 2 is linked around our performing and creative arts subjects. Column 3 is our EBAC subjects. Column 4 is all subjects that we offer. And we offer plenty of choice of subjects for students to study. There are 1 or 2 rules when students are picking subjects. So they can't choose the same subject more than once. So if they pick art in column 1, they can't then pick art in column 4. There are some subjects that are the same qualification. So they can't choose to study both art and fashion and textiles because eventually they lead to the same GCSE. They can't choose to study both PE and health and fitness because there is a considerable amount of overlap in the content. Likewise with digital IT and computer science, they can't choose to study both of those. And we also say that they can only pick up 2 new subjects because of the demands of those courses. So from business, health and social care, media studies and sociology, they can pick 2 up to 2 if they wish to. Okay, and then Mr. Lane has already mentioned this. It's almost more important, the reserve subjects, for the vast majority of students will get their 4 choices. I think last year we had 4 or 5 students whose combination of subjects we weren't able to make work on the timetable. And where that's the case, then we have to come to one of their reserve subjects, and we talk to the students and the parents about it before we make the decision to pick up one of the reserve subjects. But we ask students to pick 2 reserve subjects. They can't be subjects that they've already chosen. It's really important that you think carefully about these, because ultimately, if we can't make your 4 choices work, then you might have to pick up one of your 2 reserves. And we ask that you put them in order of preference on the form. Okay, and lastly, I've already mentioned this, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about new subjects. So these are the 4 new subjects. I've already said what they're called. Really important that students look at the information guide that we provide, all the information in the guide to courses, and they watch the video presentations carefully to see if they are interested in them. They sound great because they're new. Make sure that your child has done their research and it really is a subject that appeals to them. They understand what they're going to be learning in that subject before they put it down as one of their subject choices. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what happens at the end of Year 9. So at the end of Year 9, students can choose to drop one subject. They can either drop their Humanities subject or they can drop one of their other subjects, so either a Step 3 subject or a Step 4 subject. And partway through Year 9, shortly after Christmas, in the spring term, we'll be working with students and asking them which subject they would like to drop. If students choose combined science, they will need to continue to study at least one of the EBAC subjects that are listed below. So the EBAC subjects are geography, history, computer science, French or Spanish. And if they've chosen combined science, they'll need to continue with one of those. So that might mean that they can't drop their humanities subject, or perhaps they've already picked one of those subjects. Therefore, if they didn't want to study history or geography, they were already studying computer science, French or Spanish, so they could drop their history or geography. EBAC subjects, just to give you a little bit of information about what those are. It's a government set of subjects. They are very valued and respected subjects that have a lot of skills that are highly transferable, quite academic subjects. They're subjects that are viewed to support your learning in other subjects through the skills and the style of learning in those subjects. And that's why we ask students to continue to study at least one of those subjects. So in the spring term of Year 9, we will talk to your son or daughter about which subject they would like to drop at the end of Year 9. It's not possible to continue on studying all 5 subjects. So there are 4 other subjects and their humanities pathway subject. And that's because to be successful in their GCSE subjects as they move into Year 10, they need additional teaching time. So by dropping a subject at the end of Year 9, they're able to have another hour's teaching time in their remaining 4 subjects. Without that hour's teaching time, we would be compromising the quality of their outcomes at the end of Year 11. The GCSE qualifications are really demanding qualifications now, and they need sufficient teaching time to allow students to access the grades that they're capable of achieving. There's lots of information out there to support you and your child with making these important subject choices. So the image that you can see is our Year 8 guide to courses. It's available on the college website, and I'll show you where a lot of the information is on the college website in a moment. I hope that you, if you're watching this, you've made appointments to speak with your child's subject teachers this evening using our video call system. This is kind of the format that we've had to put in place because we can't do our usual marketplace. But you'll be able to talk with your child's subject teachers about their progress in their subjects and whether they feel the choices that they're looking at would be suitable for them. Speak to myself. You can speak to your child's mentor. You can speak to Mrs. Bell, our curriculum and admissions coordinator, or your child's pastoral managers, Mrs. Knight or Mrs. Bird. There's extensive guidance on our website on different careers and subjects linked to those different careers. I'd recommend you have a look at that. And if you feel it would help, you can also request an appointment with Mrs. Cant, our careers advisor. So let me show you how to access the information on our website. Okay, so when you go onto the Lutterworth College website, if you go to the academic page and the curriculum intent and then the Year 8 subject choices, so we've got a dedicated website page which is purely for these important subject choices, and all of the information that you need you'll be able to find there. So you've got access to any letters that I've sent out. This is the video presentation that I put together for students that went on to show my homework. Once your child's worked out their subject choices, this link here will take you to our online form to submit their choices. Our guide to courses, which I've talked about already, which allows you to look at the information on each of the different subjects. You can enlarge it using the full screen options here. If you want to download a copy of it, this blue link here will take you to the Year 8 Guide to Courses, and you can download a PDF version of it. But the information on the Guide to Courses page has all of the different information to do with the subjects that your child can choose to study. So you can read up on the combined science pathway, and the difference between that and the triple science pathway. So I'd recommend you spend time looking through that. And then importantly, as you move down, hidden inside these menus, if you click on the plus sign, there are short video presentations by our staff talking you through what is involved in studying each of the subjects that we offer in Year 9 and on to GCSE. So with your child, you need to have a shortlist and to sit and to watch those videos before making any choices. So between our guide to courses and the videos that are on the site here, that should give you all of the information that you need. But if you have any questions, obviously you can approach your child's subject teacher or their mentor or their pastoral manager or myself. Once your child has made their choices, as I say, if you click on the online subject choices form, it'll then take you to a Google form where you can submit their subject choices, and you just simply follow it through step by step, clicking submit at the end, and we'll then be able to pick those subject choices up. Okay, and finally, just some important dates. So today is our subject choices advice evening from 3:30 till 6:30. Hopefully you've made your appointments and you'll have a good evening talking to your child's subject teachers. Monday the 22nd of February is the final subject choices deadline. So we ask that you've completed the online form that I just showed you how to access and submitted your child's choices on that form by 9 AM on Monday the 22nd. That's the first Monday back after half term. Between March and June, we will be timetabling and allocating students to courses. If there are any problems with your child's subject choices, if there are any clashes, if we can't manage to make it work, if you've got any questions, then we'll come back to you. If you don't hear from us, then it's because there isn't a problem. At the end of June, we should, all being well, be in a position to confirm your child's subject choices in writing to yourself and to them. In September 2021, so that's as your child moves into Year 9, they will start studying their Year 9 subject choices. And then in the spring term of that academic year, we'll be talking to them about which subject they would like to drop, and therefore which 4 subjects they're going to go on and study in Year 10 at GCSE level. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate this has probably been a bit of a lengthy presentation, more so than if I've been stood in front of you, but I hope you found it helpful in supporting you to make your child's subject choices. It's a really exciting time for them, and I hope they enjoy the process. Thank you very much for listening.